Namaskar. Namaskar, namaskar, namaskar. Namaskar, dear friends. It's 2000 hours here in India. That's 8 p.m. IST. You may be in any part of the world. And today, I'm welcoming you to another interesting one. This 3rd of July, Saturday, 2021, as part of an actor interviews, we're going to have a conversation around what it means when someone says, nurturing my craft. This conversation is going to be held under the auspices of an actor interview series. And it's my absolute pleasure today to interview an amazing actor, student of acting, teacher of acting, and a performing actor. His name is Neeraj Kabi. And today, even as he and I have a tete-a-tete around what is it that allows an actor to be an actor, I'm inviting you to get some insights for yourself, not just in the art of acting, but also perhaps some notes that you may want for yourself in whichever profession that you follow. Let's face it, dear friends, each one of us has a profession. Each of one of us is doing something in our life, and we are professionals in that. Apart from the passion that we bring to it, there's a craft. And today, even as we are having a conversation about the craft of acting, I want you to look at it as your window into an actor's mind at the same time. Please feel free to draw any inspiration for yourself into whatever that is your craft. And how could this help you in honing your own craft? So as I welcome you to this gathering on actor interviews, the pleasure is completely mine as I bring Neeraj Kabi onto the stage. Swagat hai.
Hello, Ashish. Lovely to meet you, and thank you for inviting me.
I look forward to this conversation.
Me too.
So, Neeraj, today we want to explore some possibilities. You know, how world has and life has occurred to you, and how you have been using all the occurring in the world, and how you have used it for yourself, your craft, and possibly your own life. So, as I begin this conversation, how important is life as something which we can use for ourselves?
Well, I have now begun to realize, I guess after all these years of work and even as you keep growing, that there's no point that we need to reach where we can say that we have reached or we have arrived. Somewhere that sense is fading away. And what is remaining right now at this point of time is the entire journey that one is traveling from moment to moment, day to day. And what am I achieving on a daily basis for myself in my craft? I think that's becoming more and more supreme for me as a human being, rather than waiting to do something where I can achieve maybe an accolade, applauses, or an award or recognition or whatever you might call it. It's not that anymore at this point of time. However, saying this, that you do enjoy or you do relish the fact that you are applauded and you're awarded as a performer, but that does not seem to take center stage anymore for me. I think it's day to day, moment to moment that I'm doing in order to take my craft to a level where I want to take it. And that level is not dependent on somebody else's decision on where I have reached or where I have not reached. That
Wow.
level is mine own, and it is my own journey which I'm walking and traveling. So that is intriguing me a lot nowadays. This sense of getting your craft into one level. It's not comparing it anywhere or to anybody at all. I'm not saying I want to be the world's best actor. Even that is not a priority at this point of time. One is taking the craft to a level, to a level, to a level as high as I can in this very lifetime. I think that's exciting me right now.
One
So
day
it's
at a
not about
time.
looking at a film or getting an interview there or people messaging you great work or whatever. Fortunately, one has been blessed with these beautiful, kind hearts that have always, messaged you or encouraged you. But now the journey is becoming something else. And I think I'm relishing this moment and this journey. So even if
Wow.
as I talk to you at this point of time, my craft is always hovering around me, trying to grasp
Mm.
something right now from this moment.
Wow.
I can sense it everywhere. It's there. It's there like this parasite, a good parasite that's there to simply absorb what's happening at this moment. This conversation I'm having with you in acting terms is called a dialogue. So if I were to see this as a scene, I'm having a dialogue with another actor. Now, what do I do with this? How does this seep into my craft, my life? So that's what it is.
Love it. How do I allow this moment to seep into me? And, Neeraj, what you just spoke, it brings a thought to me. Over the years, I have noticed that if I can value this moment, then life is amazing. And one way of valuing it is to recognize that this moment is going to leave something of it with me, even
Yeah.
as this moment will never ever come back. But having said so, everything in this moment is touching me. And it is up to me to recall it or to even use it, or a step further, be used by what it is, what it has done to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the moment leaves a mark on you, does it?
Yes. I remember many years ago when I was creating my grammar and trying to teach that as I was creating. So I was a teacher student. I still am. So as I teach, I learn, and what I learn, I teach it back again. I've not reached a point as yet, or may not ever reach this point where I can say I am a teacher of acting. I don't think I can reach that point because the more deeper you go into these things, it opens up furthermore, furthermore, furthermore for you. And I remember once, many, many years ago, when I was trying to find out what do I now teach, I was going for a workshop to teach us to a batch of, I think, about 20 people. And I had no clue what I'm going to start with. They were all adults above the age of 25 and aspiring actors inside an academy where I was invited to teach. And those were very early years. I hadn't really created a grammar as yet by then, and I hadn't done anything by then. And I remember walking into the big gate. It was a massive space, a very big complex. And I walked into the main gate. It was a rainy morning, and the rains had just subsided. And I opened that huge wooden door. There was a watchman over there. He asked me, "What have I come for?" And I said, "I'm going there to teach inside this academy." I was allowed in. And as I walked into that path and I was walking, the rains had just subsided. So it was slightly moist, the path which I was walking on. And I saw a green leaf fallen down. I remember picking up that leaf and looking at it and asking that leaf, "Would you help me to teach today? Because I don't know what I'm going to do." And truly, I didn't know what I'm going to do. I walked in with this wet leaf, moist, with dewdrops on it. I actually was playing with it as I walked, with so much of faith in what it's going to help me with or do to me. And I created an entire workshop of 12 days over there, starting or beginning with this leaf. And I think that moment defined many things for me, many things. Faith to begin with, courage to lead on to, and then find a way for my own self. So I found that I think I can create my own grammar if I want to. Here's a little clue, and that's what it was. And it began from there. So I this sense of being in the moment, but with your preparation. I think the moment becomes the fulcrum. Your preparation is the entire periphery, your circumference. If you just go and be in the moment somewhere without a preparation, that moment may not hold of much value after a point of time or beyond a point of time. But if you've prepared completely and thrown off everything and come here with the moment, then you are not the same person anymore. That moment is richer with your years of preparation. That's where you can shut off everything and say, okay, let me take the moment and let me see what happens. But you just can't get there without preparation and say, let me see what happens. How is it for you, Ashish? How is it for you? I'm
So
very
that's,
in,
yep, yeah. So
I,
it's a very, very interesting, or, you just recreated an image, interesting image came to me. I'm just trying to recall. Was it The Last Samurai, the Kurosawa film, in which in the first few shots, the samurai, the samurai just walks in, walks, keeps walking, and he's doing others. He's doing that, and he's walking, and he reaches a place where there's a fork, and just there, and looks around, just looks around, picks up a twig, throws it up, it falls, and it points in a direction, and he starts walking in that direction.
amazing.
Right. And that is the big, I still get goosebumps even when
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
even narrating this thing. And what you just shared is something which I really believe in, my friend. Because, I create a lot of workshops around life, a
Yes, I'm
few
aware.
around acting, but mostly around life. And an honest admission, my friend, those workshops are created in that moment. There's been a lot of preparation for it, not just preparation for it, but there's been preparation, what you and I know as Riyaz,
Yeah.
some years of working on ourselves, on the ability to observe. I mean, these questions that we're going to have today, that is about that Riyaz which we have put in, some consciously, some just unconsciously, as we have realized the richness in life. And somewhere for me, when that, when even normally people talk about that, are you ready for the opportunity? Because that opportunity is in that moment,
Yes.
but that moment reveals itself. I've always felt the moment reveals itself when you have done so much that you can just see it. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, I could, of the entire description, as I saw that, I had a sense of deja vu when you were talking of the rain and that door opening and that walk and the rain subsiding and that leaf on it, the dew or some rainwater, and I could see the freshness of that leaf. And I also could feel that there were some other leaves, but that one leaf stood out. It got
Yes.
chosen.
Yep.
And that is what it is, that twig. Which was the twig which was picked up, and where did it fall? And which leaf did I pick up, which you picked up, and which any one of us who's listening right now? What are the choices that we are making? And somehow for me as an actor, each day is therefore very organic, and therefore it's organic, and it is dangerous. It might not work out. Yeah,
Yeah.
might not work out. How dangerous can you get with your craft, Neeraj? Imagine an entire reputation is there, and we are going into not into a surety, not into a this will work, into let's explore, let's create my drama in that moment. So with all the preparation, and that's what intrigues me many a times, Neeraj, that from someone who has no reputation, someone who has no reputation at all to lose, an absolute beginner, the novice. And we see, and we see, I recall myself, and I would love to hear from you. As a novice, there was complete wide-eyedness, the wide-eyedness. And I remember since I really didn't mind people laughing at me. So I would go and do it. In fact, it would make me feel even more better when they laughed at me. Do you recall any of those moments when they laughed?
Yes. I recall actually many moments just as we speak right away. In fact, I was doing a play, I still remember, many years ago, and we had an entire cast, a cast that was well reputed, a cast with, a background of immense knowledge of the theater, performers who've probably worked a lot on stage, and I was almost there as a beginner. And I remember we were about 6 of us in the cast, being directed by somebody who had literally toured the world with all his work. So here I was, an absolute novice with experienced people. And at every moment of whatever I did, I could hear chuckles all around me, giggles all around me. Everything I did was frowned upon. Everything I challenged myself with to want to do something, I was stopped instantly over there, saying, "No, this is not the way it is done." And after a point, it came to a moment where I was being told exactly what to do, since they felt that I'm no good to be a part of this, but it was too late for them to ask me to leave the performance because we had a show after about a couple of days. So yes, I remember that, and how it was show after show, show after show. And that's where I think somewhere your anger, your ego, everything gushes inside that body like a volcano. Your blood begins to boil, and you have no clue of what is happening in your brain at that point of time. It could burst if you allow it to.
Yep.
But somewhere, I think now, on hindsight, I thank obviously all those precious moments, all that agony that was there present. And very fortunately, I didn't throw them out.
Ah,
I could have actually finished my show and gone outside the theater and probably picked up a fight with a bus conductor or a rickshaw wala or a samosa wala over there or a chana wala on the road where I used to pick up my chana and eat my dinner over there. I could have bashed that guy up and done something to myself, maybe, bruise somebody, beat somebody black and blue. But somewhere it didn't happen. Somewhere something instinctively told me, save it. Save it, because this is what your craft is going to be made of many years down the line. Don't throw this away. This is a lesson that has come from 6 teachers, which means 6 actors that were there on the stage chuckling and giggling at me. And they became my teachers instantly. That is how I think that Green Leaf was one of my teachers. I've had many teachers like this. So they all come at instance, and they are there, some for 2 years, some for a moment, some for a few minutes, some for lifelong. And they are with you. I think if you begin to recognize all our teachers, that's where somewhere I feel humility will always be there.
yeah.
You will never deviate from your path despite all kinds of accolades, awards, or whatever. That's what I feel. As of now, I don't know what it will do to me later, but as of now, I think that grounding is there. It stays there.
Hopefully. Let's see. As they say, let's see where it
Let's see.
goes. So, this when people speak of the real, is that the real moment? For me, for example, when a child cries, we never say it looks so real. When there is grief, we never look at it and say, wow, it's so real. Or when there is somebody who's just breaking into a smile. That's just, friends meet, and we never say, wow, it is so real. We never say that, right?
Yeah.
And as an actor, it's a very funny thing that, at least I'll speak for myself. I'm continuously hunting for that amazing real moment. And somehow in what you spoke, one of the things that I'm present to, Neeraj, is that as an actor, it is not just what you saw. So many people say, it's observing what you observe in others. But it's you observe what's happening inside you when you are happy.
Yeah.
Observe what happened to you when you felt sadness or saw someone sad, what you felt. So for you, what is your connect with the reality that you create through your craft? What is your connect to that?
I think day-to-day living, moment-to-moment living, which means that even if my riyaz is not seen, many years ago, my riyaz would be getting up in the morning, there is martial arts, there is a little bit of chow, Kathakali, eye movements, voice training. Then you come back, take up a scene, memorize, do. So those were years ago. I'm doing the same thing today, but you can't see that. I don't pick up a text and start doing my riyaz today. I don't stay in that Kathakali posture and say, okay, this is how my mudra is going to be, or this is how my eye movements will be. It's not about that anymore. It's there intuitively and intrinsically. It's there inside. And your riyaz is continuously on throughout. It's not a moment or a time where that's happening. So even if I am possibly getting up in the morning and doing something inside my home, anything, it could be cleaning, it could be arranging the bed sheet, it could be brooming, it could be washing clothes, it could be anything, it could be cutting vegetables inside the kitchen. But everything one is drawing from, every moment one is drawing from. And that becomes very real for me. What are these moments and what happens to me inside, like you mentioned? When I look at somebody, I'm not observing life. I'm observing, when I look at life, what is happening to me, within me. That's my observation, because that's what I will use in my craft. How others are responding to a situation is not something I can ever use in my craft. I can
Yeah.
only appreciate life, but I can't use that. How will I use somebody else's experience? But what I can use is what that is doing to me, is exactly what you said. What that does to me. As I cut vegetables, I'm trying to see if I can cut it as precisely as my grandmother would cut when I was a kid, when I saw her. That moment of precision that I'm trying every day, that is helping me to get a sense of realism into my craft.
Wow.
That grooming, that washing of clothes, simple activities, and I indulge in these activities on a day-to-day basis. They're not something that
So,
I do because I want to hone my craft. It's a day-to-day basis.
sure.
Simple things will start coming out to you. Yeah.
Yeah. And do they have they become as a ritual for you, just as a Kathakali and a Chow movement thing before, which was earlier? Have
Yes.
so certain rituals, how important do you think are the rituals for anyone to hone whatever that they're good at? How important are rituals?
Extremely important, because as you are working towards being a performer, any kind of a performer, So I could talk only of acting because I'm an actor.
Sure.
When you're working with that, because our job is to represent, it's not present, but represent human emotions, human feelings, human relationships, humanity at large. So if I'm not connected to human activities, how do I get the human process? I cannot get the human process merely reading books. I cannot get the human process merely doing workshops or courses somewhere. I need to live it day to day. When I'm living it day to day, these become my rituals. So the larger you live your life, I think, the more you experience it and the more it affects your performance.
Wow.
From scene to scene, from breath to breath, that will touch you. I think that's very, very crucial.
Yeah.
So your rituals can be as large as looking after your family, looking after your parents, taking care of the responsibility you've sworn to take care of, doing things for people who are not related to you, doing things for people who you don't even know, teaching, sometimes teaching for free. So these are rituals, doing house chores, cleaning, brooming. All this become your ritual every single day. At no point can you say, मैं कलाकार हूं, मैं ये नहीं कर सकता हूं.
Hmm.
मैं कलाकार हूं, ये मेरी कलाकारी नहीं है कि मैं झाड़ू लगाऊं.
इसमें मैं अपनी कलाकारी नहीं दिखा सकता.
इसमें मैं नहीं दिखा सकता हूं. और चूंकि मैं कलाकार हूं, मेरा एक अलग औहदा है और मैं वहां से नीचे या तो वहां से जो भी निचला काम होता है वो मैं नहीं कर सकता हूं. These are things that are untouchable for me. No, you cannot do that.
Sure.
You have to go deeper, down, 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 and down to the absolute bottom that you can on what you've observed in humanity. And I mean as low as even begging.
Yeah.
Because that is probably something that you've seen. Whatever you see in life happening around you, which is outside of you, it's very crucial for you to absorb and to become that. And then to see what does it do to you.
So
now, these are very extreme things, of course, one is talking about when you say beg. But
Yeah,
I'm
I got
saying
that.
as whatever you can do, whatever takes you down over there, because that's what gets you up.
But what I'm hearing, when you're saying that, what I'm here is breaking yourself.
Yeah.
So this is the human being who happens to be an actor, but the human being is something. And I've noticed as an actor, if you're able to break down whatever the human being is, whatever the human being says, I can or can't, and the actor nips away at it and says, oh, really? Can I break you up into so small a number of particles
Yeah.
to give you an opportunity to reconstitute yourself and become anything else?
Absolute.
And that's what I find very freeing about that ritual in theater. But I recall that there was nothing which could not be done by the theater actor. Where I recall initial years of working for our group Sambhav, and for the initial years, one of the prime jobs that I had was to make sure that tea was served, as in tea was gotten and tea was served, and matti was served, and scripts were cyclo-styled. Remember, Xerox had not yet come, photo style had not come, it was cyclo-styled, and also to go and drop some actors home. And I was there for the play, to do theater. And then just before the play, since set was very expensive, we used to get these tables from the dry cleaner, BK dry cleaner in Bengali market. And on a cart, we used to get it and make sure that the set was ready. And then after the show, the set was dismantled and gotten back. What it did for me is that it broke me down past my anything which would say that I could not, that Ashish, you cannot reconstitute yourself as somebody who's pulling a thela, okay?
Yeah.
And be seen pulling a thela or be seen serving tea. अरे चाय देना, आशी इधर चाय दो, या नहीं, अच्छा दो, दो चाय, अच्छा दो चाय और लेकर आओ. Can you handle that? Can you handle that?
Yeah.
And for me, that opened up that if I can break myself down into, rather than just being one concrete this, into small microscopic bits which can be reconstituted as a tea seller and a king and a despot and a as somebody who sings a song, to anything. And that is what excites me, because as an actor it freed me, Neeraj, if I may say, forever. So it freed me forever from feeling shy, where I could enact not being shy, even if I am. You're getting a sense of what I'm sharing. So
Yeah.
in that moment of shyness, which very hard for anyone to believe that I feel shy. I'm so talkative. How can I be shy? But I'm now okay that I can enact not being shy, and probably be very successful at enacting that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, how important is it for you that here is here is this actor who's putting together a character, and now that character is speaking someone else's written line? How does one make someone else's line real? Would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, Ashish, I always see it as this bifurcation. So that's me over here. That's the actor over here. And now this is the character that I'm playing. So from me, from Neeraj, I go to the actor. This is where, this exactly is where, if I'm removing Neeraj from here and I'm keeping a script over here or a writer over here, then the actor absorbs the script and takes it away from the writer. And there is nothing else but the actor that has now become the text. And this gets into that character. So the
Creates
character
that.
and the actor are just together, where the character becomes the text. He is not reading the text, he is not narrating the text, he is the text. So when you say he is the text, the actor or the character that the actor is playing, everything about him, every element of his instrument is being read by the audience. There is information coming out of every part of the system. And that's where I think the character becomes extremely real and believable to an audience, when the audience knows that there is no reference script for this. If I'm doing Shakespeare and my audience is continuously aware that yes, he is doing a Shakespeare, then somewhere I personally feel that I've not been able to remove it from Shakespeare and make it my own. That awareness, although the audience must have that it's a Shakespearean play, they should at a point of time, because of the actor, forget and be removed from the reality of Shakespeare and brought into the reality of the actor, because he is now that writer. He is narrating what is Shakespeare's mind. And that's where it becomes very real. I think that is what we call craft, technique, riyaz. How do you take it from a writer and make this completely your own, such that the audience begins to experience what the actor at this point of time is experiencing at higher levels of his consciousness? Not just emoting. The audience senses what I am sensing as an actor performing, let's say,
Experiences.
Macbeth or Hamlet or King Lear, whatever I'm performing, or Othello. What is it that I am sensing right now at my higher level of consciousness? And is the audience experiencing the same thing?
Yep.
Then that becomes a complete craft and a performance. If only I am experiencing it and the audience is getting nothing out of me, how do you call that acting? आपके रोंगटे खड़े हो रहे हैं, आप इस
किसी
चीज
और
को
के
पूरी
नहीं हो
तरह
रहे.
से महसूस कर रहे हैं, सब कुछ हो रहा है आपको, आप रो भी रहे हैं, सब कुछ हो रहा है, तमाम चीजें आपके साथ हो रही हैं, बट दर्शक जो आपके है, they are experiencing nothing out of you. They can only sense a few emotions of yours,
Sure.
but you're not transporting them into that world where you want them to travel, into the world of Othello. And if you cannot do that, then you have years more of practice. and training as an actor. You still haven't reached there.
I love that. I love that. And if if one looks at levels of preparation, at first, am I the actor moved by that text? Am I
Yes.
personally moved by that character? And then, can I create an experience that the audience experiences what happened?
Yeah.
And so, even though, I mean, like, in whichever way you feel that the actor zariya hai, is the conduit from that script what the writer wrote,
Yeah.
absorbed. I love that example of yours. So this is that flame which is the actor who's
Yeah.
absorbed this, taken in all the fire of this written word, and now it fuses into this character. And now that character, which has the actor in him, and now can we move the audience? But
Yeah.
here is my question. Okay, here lies my question. I'm talking a professional actor question. Now, this actor is not alone. There is a director.
Yeah.
There's a written word, then there's the director and the actor, and the director brings her world, universe into this. So there is the world of the writer, there's the world of the actor, and then there's the director who's saying, like, because I remember countless experiences there. I would love to hear yours when we are doing an interesting project together, and very senior co-actor of mine, she suddenly said, "Can we try this?" I said, "Sure, we'll do this." And we did that. We rehearsed and we came and showed. And as we are showing it, she blurted out, what we are showing. So director, even as he saw it, he said, "Yeah, but I don't want that. You know what you're talking? I don't want that. No, I don't want that. I don't want that." And we're saying that even just in that dialogue, if you can bring in some sexuality, just in that interaction, that look, that smile, something can we bring it in. It was a wonderful moment. But the moment she mentioned that, he said, "No, no, 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 all that is not there." And I looked at her and said, "Why did you have to speak it out?" So, because at times the word that you spoke, that you speak, suddenly it may land on someone in a particular way, and they say, "No, no, no, I don't want that." But just the experience of it, and that was just one point case. I have had many experiences when I've tried to explain something that I'm doing, people say, "Nahi." But if you don't say, if you don't say it and just do it, have you experienced it when somebody wants it in a particular way, and you want to add an interesting layer to it? What happens when they don't want it?
That's very interesting, because now there's a range of directors. You know, we can say range of directors in Mumbai, in India, and in the world.
World,
So,
absolutely.
so when one is performing, that's been my little experience, is that when I am performing or working with a very seasoned director, somebody who has got years of experience in work, who's an intellect, and who knows the craft, from where it came and what he's doing with his craft, and has worked for years and done massive projects. And if I'm working with somebody like that, I've always noticed one very beautiful thing in all of them. And however senior they might be, however senior, there is a space that they first give you. It's like two boxers, and the great champion says, "Come on, do what you want to me. I'm here. Come on, you want to hit me here? Hit me here. Because I'll punch you later, and that one punch will bring you down. Till then, let me enjoy. Let me see your force." And I've seen that happening. And that's scary when you're working with
Mm.
seniors. So they allow you that without telling you this. So you get into the set, you're there in the scene, you're performing away with whatever you've prepared. They look at you. And there are times when I've seen that they will come to you very privately, very personally, and take your performance to one notch above what you've done in a very beautiful way, in a very graceful way. I've never had anybody coming and sitting somewhere that's behind the monitor with a mic and saying, "Listen, I can you don't do that what you did right now with this hand, and do it the way we spoke of in the van. Can you do it that way, Neeraj? Let's take another one. Yeah, let's go." I've never had somebody say that to me. I'm very fortunate and blessed. So they come up and they talk to you and they leave you with that space. Now, here is what is very crucial, that if you have trained yourself and prepared and you have your craft very solid with you, there are moments like these that you can use, and what you call a jugalbandi with the director. You can take it and you can carry on walking with the director, knowing very well that at times he might take center stage and say, sometimes even they might change, and you must be absolutely privy to this. They will change the lines over there. And I'm talking about very, very big directors, because they have the writers also on set sometimes. And the writers are there saying, right now in this scene, these three lines are not working. Give us 2 minutes, we'll rewrite and give it to you. Now, when that's happening, you get that. I'm talking about good craftsmanship, Ashish. I'm not talking about anything that happens on the set and lines are just scribbled and given to you last moment. I'm talking about great craftsmanship. And when they come and they give it to you, you're prepared to take in that, and you're prepared to take that into the direction of the director, into the mind of the director, and you walk like that. And then it becomes a great piece of work together. Now, when I'm doing this, I'm always aware that my craft is one, or my training is one, my preparation is one, but I'm very, very aware that this project or this entire product is not mine. I'm only part of this. The director's vision is supreme and prime. He's my king. And I cannot go beyond him. I cannot take any decision which is not in his favor or in the favor of what he has as a vision. That is very primordial for any actor to realize, that if I'm walking in, however much and whatever I've done before this, I have to surrender, my head bowed down, not literally, but with the director. And he guides me, but I give him my craft. I give him as much as I can where he can take me. Yes, there are other instances where they come in and they say, "Nahi yaar, this is not what I'm looking for. Can I have 5 minutes with you, please?" And they take you aside. There's a big conversation. 5 minutes leads to half an hour of conversation and saying, "This is what I'm looking at." And you say, "Oh God, iski to tayari nahi ki thi. Now what do I do?" So again, craft, technique,
Yeah.
preparations, everything comes in over there to take you there. And I don't think that should be a moment of, feeling discouraged by any actor. If I'm aware that this is a director's medium, I'm willing to walk with you. I'm willing to throw up everything to say, "Okay, you tell me now." But I won't be a puppet with you, because then there's no sense taking me. There's no point of all my years of work if I'm merely going to do what exactly you are asking me to do in terms of a demonstration. Sometimes they demonstrate it for you.
Yeah.
And that is not something that you can, of course, like I said, you cannot fight that because they are supreme on set. And
Absolutely.
that's a given thing. You cannot cross that barrier. This is
Yeah.
what it is
Yeah.
for me. How has it been for you, Ashish? You've
Yeah.
done 200 films, more than that. It's massive. I can't even think of that. I don't know when I'll be able to do this. But that's great. That's huge. You've done theater. How do you manage this with so many directors that you've worked with? How does this happen with you?
So each one of us, Neeraj, are handling. It's a journey. It's much like life. Each one of us travels with certain attributes that we have, and it's all about how you are navigating your way through life. And so very clearly for me, the film is the director's baby, not just
Yeah.
because happens to be the creator, but also is managing the various other characters. The director is aware what the other characters are doing. The director is aware that in service of the scene, this scene is in service of the entire film. And so what nuance, so that director is aware of a much wider worldview than I am. So first of all, I'm clear about that. Of course, there'll be degrees of agreement that how is that director at all so good at it. So I'm very clear that if I've signed a film, so that director, I'll ask thrice, can we try this? Can we try this? And then that director chooses, and then I'll say, can we try this, and there is that conversation which happens.
Yeah.
But but many a times, and I'll be upfront with you, many a times you're navigating from one conversation to another in the performance, because for me each role, it grows on me. So for example, this single actor play of mine that I do called Daya Shankar Ki Diary, I'll invite
Yes.
you sometime whenever I do it next.
I've
So
seen that, Ashish. Sorry to
okay,
interrupt, but I've seen this play long, long time ago, and I never got a chance to meet you then to tell you
yeah,
how much I love that and how much a solo act inspired me. I still remember seeing it in the Prithvi Theatre. It was an
oh,
Ek Jut production,
that's right.
and I was very raw with my work at that point of time, and I saw you perform. And prior to you, I had seen Nasruddin Shah and Irfan Khan work, and then I saw you, Ashish, and I was blown away by the persistence of an actor standing on stage all alone and playing a piece out to the audiences with no one else. He alone becomes the supreme commander of the audience's attention. That intrigued me so much. Daya Shankar Ki Diary, I can never forget the performance and the control you had over the lines, over performances, over the shifts that were there in your performances, the layers that you were building. It was just so amazing,
Yeah,
so beautifully crafted. I'm glad I'm able to
thank
say
you.
this today to you.
All right,
It's
so
taken me so many years to say this, but it was a wonderful piece that I saw. Wonderful. In fact, let me tell you this also. It was very, very inspirational for me. I have
thank you.
preserved that in my zehen jisko kehte hain. It is there somewhere. It's there very, very tight because those were my early years when I
All right.
was looking at amazing performances, and this stayed with me very, very well.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. Thank you so very much. So Neeraj, the point also that I was making is that so over the 22 years that I have been performing there, Shankar, a whole lot of me has gotten altered. My life, things have happened, and that it's the same character, the same script. And for me, therefore, as I negotiate with that character, this actor is continuously changing. And I do even as I'm working on my craft in whichever way, I do notice one thing that at that very point, how this actor is, how this person is, that keeps coming up. Okay, and so here is the person, here's the actor. Okay, but I'm saying that this person keeps coming in. All right, this person makes sure that each one of those performances is unique. All right, each time I walk onto the stage, it is unique. And at the same time, I've also found out that the same person, the same actor, stroke person, as I go into, so I've done these, similar kind of characters, quite a few, and because the period that I began doing films, my choice was to earn my living. I had to do commercial mainstream cinema, and commercial mainstream cinema. Very early on, they told me that if you're a good actor and if you're not the hero, then you will get the commissioner roles and the politician role. And they were right. I did probably 180 of them, of the 240 that I may have acted. Exactly those. And and over the years, Neeraj, one of the things that I had to deal with, just to also share with you, is to deal with people who thought of me as a good actor as I began this journey, looking me in the eye, and I could see in them that they're telling me that, hey, Ashish, you are a sellout. All right, and it's a you know what I mean. Okay, so it's a you when you deal with that, because I've always felt, and this is again a question that I have for you, that as much as the actor is about the craft, there is a human being who needs to pay for the food that's going to come on the table.
Yeah.
How how does the actor, is the actor paramount and the food doesn't matter, or does the actor also have to be responsible for what make sure that there's food on the table, the kids are getting educated, and the family is taken care of? How does the actor manage both? without being a sellout or being somebody who's completely passion driven, doesn't care. Your thoughts?
When I'd once seen Ustad Amjad Ali Khan Saab zip up his sarod after a performance, a stage show. I remember that in very early stages of my life, when I was looking at classical music performances as well. And I saw him one day zipping up his sarod, and that's the time it occurred to me that how fortunate is he that his instrument is only required for those 2 hours of performance, or 3 or 4 or 5 hours, and then he can zip it back, keep it in his car, and take it back home. And he can lead any life that he wants to as an artist. And then I said, for the actor, it becomes so difficult because we can't zip up our instrument and say, performance over for today, back up, and I can zip up myself and go and relax.
Yeah.
This is the instrument I will be using for my craft, and it is the same instrument I take back home to make a living, to put food on the table, to look after my family. Now, this is where it becomes so difficult, because what you put into your craft comes from that being who's putting food on the table. And what you bring back home, again, is coming from all those various characters that you've just performed, and you're trying hard to come out of that musicality of that character. I'm saying musicality because all art aspires to the condition of music.
Sure.
So when you come out of that character, whether you're playing anybody, you're playing Gandhi, you're playing whatever, Akbar or whatever, you're coming out of it. And then you get back to that person who puts food on the table. Now that person mingles with his family, with his friends. And at a point of time where you're probably paying your rents in those years, your landlord is there. There are multiple people around you who tell you and show you what life and how life should be lived. And at that very moment, within a couple of hours, you have to remove yourself from this and go back to becoming that kalakar, that performer that is now going on to a show exactly at 6 p.m. So this balance becomes huge. It's mountainous in it's mammoth in its size, because it deals with emotions.
Yeah.
It deals with feelings.
Yeah.
And that's what you're dealing with in your personal life. You're dealing with the same thing on stage or on the OTT platform or during a film shoot. How the hell do you balance all this?
Yeah.
How do you not bring that into this and take this into that? Because every time you come out of something, there is a wall that you leap over literally, and to go to the other side. And to come back over here, you leap over that huge wall. It's mammoth, and the wall goes on increasing as you keep growing older.
And you know that you're sensitive, and you know that you're
And you
sensitive,
know that it's sensitive.
and you know that
And you
you're
keep
not
that
thick-skinned,
Yeah.
and you know that you're not thick-skinned. You know that
Exactly.
you're porous. You know that impacts, and still you do. And that's what that's what I love about being a professional actor, Neeraj. Because each day I'm, as I call it taking calls. I take calls each day. I say yes to something and no to something else. Rather, I say yes to something. So, we never say no. We just say a yes to something. And then we say, okay, you didn't say, yeah, I said yes to something. Because we never
Yeah.
get to say no. We only choose to do what we do. Do something this way. And therefore, just look at it. Here we are talking acting, but just look, anybody who's listening in right now, just imagine that for each one of us, choices make us.
Yeah.
Choices allow some things to come into our life. Choices also allow some things not to be in our life. It's like that twig. When it landed this way,
Yeah.
he went this way. And just by virtue of the fact that he went this way, this didn't exist.
Exactly. Very
And
true.
didn't exist forever. Now, you know what? And it's a question that I have. And I'm asking you this question, and I will share sometime. So, if you're sensitive enough and you kind of move in this, and you've chosen this, which is this role, or doing the role this way, or doing this part in this role, whatever the choice that you made, is there at times uh, an anguish that, or a regret that what could have happened this way? Does regret play a role in your life?
Yes, in a very big way. And just before I come to that, Ashish, I just remembered, since you asked me that question about the balancing act of an actor with his personal life, there was a film that I'd seen on Mozart many years ago. I think it's called Amadeus. It's a great film, great performance. There is a scene over there. Mozart is drunk, and he's not drunk. He gets back home after his studio work and composing his pieces and writing down his music and everything. And he gets back home in the evening, like all professionals do. They get back home to meet their family. And every single day, his wife and his mother would fight. There would be squabbles every single day. So one day, there's a scene like that. There's one day, Mozart walks in home. And what does he see? He looks at his wife and his mother fighting away. Now, when he's looking at this happening, instead of telling himself what an actor would, saying, "Yaar, abhi ye kya hai? Abhi main kaam karke aa raha hu. It's been an early morning shift. 6, I began shooting in the morning. It's about 6 in the evening now. I've just come back home. Is this what I come back to know?" But what Mozart does is very interesting. He looks at them immediately, and that's an acting performance, actually. That's the layering of a performance. So he looks at something, he reacts to that, which means there's anguish, there's anger, there's disgust. Immediately, he shifts to something which we call a response. He's a musician. And the moment he begins to linger on with that moment and looking at both of them, he realizes there is music happening. There is immense music happening, and a new symphony is being created by these cacophony of sounds. And he looks at them and he begins to now create his music piece. It's a new piece he's now forming. He looks at real life. He looks at them. He's so excited. So from anguish, anger, he transforms his entire emotion or his quotient into joy, into thrill, into excitement, and see this growing inside him. And he runs away from there. And the camera chases him right through the streets. He picks up a bottle, which he was anyways, he had it in his hand. He drinks away. He's so excited. He runs all the way. The camera chases him throughout all the lanes and everything till he dashes into his studio, and he sits down there, takes his quail, and begins to write. And he writes and writes and writes, listening to his wife and his mother fighting away. And he creates a big symphony. I think that is a huge metaphor of life. And that's, I think, the journey of the actor. That you don't take something as a major responsibility and say, "Oh my God, now my family." No, I think it's part of your growing up as an actor. It's part of your being. That's the universe that you are with. You're an actor, and then around you there is a universe that you're handling. And that's what I think gives you that strength, those nerves of steel, the grit, the courage. What you said, to take those dangerous chances, those risks, everything comes from that, I think. So that's what I suddenly got reminded of about Mozart. So
And
coming
I,
to, sorry, tell me.
no, go on, please go on.
So coming to what you were asking, I cannot really say this very directly in terms of an answer, but how do I answer this? So if I am trying to find a midway, there's a book that is written by Dr. Sriram Lagu. In Marathi, it's called Laman, which means coolie, labor class. And the actor is Laman. He's a coolie. He carries the script to the audience. And I think that's a very beautiful name for an autobiography of Dr. Sriram Lagu. And that's where it all boils down to. Whatever you were asking me, that's a nutshell that I can think of at this point of time. I don't know if that really answers what you're saying, but
It just, as they say, that as long as it throws up something for each one of us. Neeraj, I have a feeling that our conversation can go on, and I have a feeling that it will. But today I'm left with an amazing thought, and I'll share that with you. As you shared, and what I'm getting present to, that as each one of us, as we are students of our craft, as we are people who are exponents of our craft. So you and I are happen to be actors, people who are listening in. They may be having another craft and they are practicing it. So just what's opening up for me is that it's so wonderful that even as we hone that craft, which we say is ours, which we say is something that we use effectively, dexterously over the years, we are in preparation, that we can become so good at it, so very good at it, that people say, wow, people are so moved when they experience that, not just as a performance as an actor, but in anything that people are doing. So at one point, we are going out and offering it to people who are ready to get themselves impacted by it. And therefore, it's the professional actor,
Yeah.
writer, the professional, whatever, whoever is listening. So having the dexterity in our art to go into it. Okay, so get that, yes, I am the person, jo zariya hai, at the same time, I'm selling my services to you. And you are buying that service right now by probably just being here, and then even ready to part with something which you think is dear to you, but you are saying that I so like that service that I'm ready to pay for it. Okay, so I'm really investing and investing what I have in you. That's one part. The other part that I really got is gold for me today, Neeraj. And you brought back that memory, and that Amadeus is very, very distant for me. I probably saw it at Shakuntalam Theatre in Pragati Maidan. 3 rupees ticket, probably, yes. I remember having seen the film, but I do not recall the scene. But you just brought it alive, just like you brought alive that other scene which I had not seen. Your walk into that class of yours as it rained, and then it stopped raining, and you picked up that green leaf. So what I got in this moment is that it is up to us, each one. What do we pick, and what do we want to take away from this life? It's not just a question that he saw a repetitive thing which was happening again and again in his life. So it was not something which suddenly happened that day, but he saw something suddenly that day. And that opens up for me the possibilities that an actor has. And therefore, I've always felt that an actor is never bored, because the actor never revisits, the actor visits afresh. It is the sensitivity that I don't have a sense of, yeah, tell me. No, it is like, wow, what else? Yeah, what else? Okay, interesting. Okay, what else can I see in this moment? So what you got present for me today is that, imagine any work that we are doing. In this case, we are talking acting. Imagine if we can get into it wide-eyed, even when it is supposed to be, we are saying that's happening daily here. Can't handle it. I can't handle it because it's that same thing when it's happening daily. But imagine if I'm ready, I'm open to see something amazing that I want to see from that. And so in that example that you gave me, I am experiencing that there is a huge possibility for me as an actor, for me as a human being, to explore symphony, even amidst cacophony, amidst things which I don't like. For me to find something relishing amidst something which otherwise I would say is not in good taste. And that opens up possibilities far beyond that. If I am given the right one, only then can I do something.
Very, very true, Ashish. I'd like to ask you something. Actually, two questions I had. One is, of course, you have trained yourself immensely from an institution first. And then you laid your own path, which means you created your own path. To say that the choices of yours were not only to act in a particular industry, but to explore various industries in the country, right from going down south to the east to everywhere. Managing languages that are so varied and so difficult, especially the languages down south. Now, having trained from an institute, having finished 3 years of training and more, I'm sure you must have done many more things to train yourself. Then coming down to doing this entire journey of 200 and more, 240 films in various languages, what is it that when you see now as a performance piece given to you, what is it that you look into to now build that and take it into a piece of work that probably you have not done earlier in all those 240 or even your stage experiences, everything put together? What is it that makes that one performance the next level that you have reached? And how do you take it over there? Do you take all the craft that you've learned, or is it something that you are creating every single day? What is it that takes you there?
So, an honest admission, Neeraj, I'm very nervous. Very nervous. Every show, every shot, very nervous. I don't recall my craft. Whatever comes out is what is imbibed. And for me, it is a moment which may go wrong. I mean, that keeps coming up. It's a moment. Oh gosh, this keeps coming up. Oh, this comes up a
Yeah.
whole lot of that, and I've been working on myself for years, but this doesn't go away. It's it's probably, see, at one point it is this role, what you're doing in this role. At another point, something can be interesting can be done, or some. So it is that. So for me, it is that role, but the craft is well with, but a whole lot of that is my urge to do something which I haven't done before. So that is primal, and since it's at least my urge to do something which I haven't done, so it makes me very nervous. And I think that the only thing that keeps me alive and survive that moment is the whatever riyaz, whatever I won't even call it experience, but whatever that's been imbibed. And therefore, I'm not a sure shot guy. I'm a very underconfident actor on the set. I
Really?
like, it's like, yeah, I'm like, okay, shall we try this? Huh? Well, we're going to try, it's like that. It's a moment. We just go, it can go off. And suddenly you get it, yeah. Wow. Huh? Chalo, chalo, chalo. It's like that. It's that moment. So that is what makes me feel disappointed. That's what makes me feel excited each day. It's not, yeah, ready, shot? Chalo, okay. And it doesn't happen. There's that fear, and that fear has, it kind of is in a way amazing amount of respect for that moment. So so at this moment we have a lot of sync sound happening. So there's silence, lockdown. We lockdown बोलने से लोग घबरा जाएंगे, but when there's when everything is quietened down, and then you take that shot. But I've been working, and it's still, a whole lot of places where there is no sync sound. So there is everything happening, and people are moving, and cutters are moving, and this thing is happening, and stuff, and somebody's moving, and the trolley is moving, and stuff is moving, things are moving, and in between that, you're creating a performance. For me, I managed to deaden it all. And that's what I enjoy about, especially, just I can deaden it, and I can be in this moment, really be in this moment. And when in that moment, I am primal there, but just that out, tuck, cut, and yeah, how's it, yeah? It's like next that tuck, tuck, that guy comes out, how's it, yeah? Huh? Hua kya? Oh, what the? Check out. It's like that. So for me, I'm therefore, probably therefore I'm excited. I don't know whether I'm therefore excited or I'm excited, therefore this happens. But I I I really think that the things that I may have done in the past never comes up for me when I'm in performance. When people speak to me about things that I've done, I really am looking at them and I say, okay, thank you. And and what happens to me is that, okay, well, that's good. अच्छा ये वाला कैसा हुआ मुझे बता. So I am a very this moment actor, and I look for the next moment. So you know, the stuff that the time that I'm having with you, and we've spent about an hour and 10 minutes chatting, Neeraj. But what I've enjoyed a lot in this, and therefore, if you notice, we've spoken about the craft from this actor's point of view. I have wanted to know. There's probably going to be another conversation, Neeraj, where we will,
I'd love to.
you know,
I'd love to.
we will meet up and we'll go deeper into the matter of the craft. There are some other very interesting things that, in fact, just to let you know, remember we said that we'll speak about certain things, and he was pretty surprised nothing has come up because, we had a conversation at tete-a-tete which we wanted to,
Yeah.
but definitely excited, Neeraj. Very excited I am as an actor. And at one end it is the performer, at the other end is the person who's an aspiring. You aspire for something else. And on a final note, if I may ask you, before we come back for another conversation, which is going slightly in a different way, what is it that you as an actor aspire for? How important is that aspiration for you?
It's so surprising, Ashish, you're asking me this. Right now, my question to you was exactly this.
Oh,
I was framing this in my head at this point of time saying, Ashish, tell me, as an actor, what is it that you're trying to aspire for? What are you in preparation towards? And you asked me this right away.
so we will both feel that question.
अभी मैं यही सवाल करने वाला था. I said, no, before we close, I must ask you this, that
Yeah.
do you have something where you're taking yourself, into, or you have some kind of a vision? I think let's both answer it if you don't mind.
Sure,
I'll give
sure,
a quick
sure.
shot. I'd like to know more from you. For
So-
me, yes, I don't have something that is completely framed, but yes, there is a space I want to get into as a performer. And I know that space is that dangerous space you were speaking about in the beginning. That risk, that danger that you have to take, that leap. I'm yet to do that. And I want to get into that space which is a supreme command of your craft.
Yeah.
An amazing command. You're like a magician that you arrive in a space and you can absorb the world into you. I want to get into that space. I don't know when I will, but that is the preparation. That's the aspiration of mine, which is regardless of what the platform is, regardless of what the project is, regardless of the director's script, nothing. It's just being that amazing magician that we call the actor, that when he arrives, he's that supreme instrument that can do so much to an audience, other than just giving him a few emotions or taking him down a storyline. No, I think it's much, much more beyond. At least that's what it is for me. I'd like to know from you, what is it for you?
So the real inspires me, and I have this very dear friend of mine. Her name is Bhagirathi Bai Kadam. She was my batchmate at the drama school. And Bhagirathi is from Karnataka. She lives in Assam. She's married Baharul, my classmate who lives in Assam, and they run the Seagull Theatre Company there. But Bhagirathi's eyes, that reality that I see in her eyes. So since drama school days, when I used to just keep looking at her eyes, and she did not know Hindi well, and she first did not know Hindi, and then she at some point started speaking Hindi. Now she does films and plays in so many languages, and she knows the language. But the point is that when I look at her eyes and I say, Bhagi, tu kaise karti hai? It's like, this is that question I still ask her. I mean, 1980, since 87, I know her. Until now, I ask her that question, Bhagi, kaise hota hai? Neeraj, I've seen that reality. I've seen that reality in your eyes, in your performance. So I will leave that question about your reality also later. So that is one thing which I aspire for, that if I can be relentless and keep increasing the possibility of that being me, getting that reality for me each time. So that is a benchmark. The other aspiration, if I may share, and probably for the first time that I'm sharing in a public space, Neeraj, is to do central roles, roles which have a centrality in the script. It could be in a feature film, it could be an OTT, it could be in any form. When I do Daya Shankar Ki Diary, there's a centrality to my character, and I
Yeah.
hold, I command the scenario, and I can move it, and I have faith in myself. I know that I would love to get into that dangerous territory of commanding a central role of, and I say commanding is like maneuvering the entire project with that central role. So when you ask me about the aspiration, yes, it is, my friend. And for me, I keep asking for things which are not what I have. It could be in terms of craft, it could be in terms of quality of work. And when I say the centrality of roles, I mean the quality of work. So I I do aspire to do quality roles. And it has taken me the longest to erase from people what they have seen of me as a larger than life villain within quotes, and commercial mainstream cinema. And it's been there, and I've played that, and I would have played it in such a way that it is embedded, not just in people but also in directors, producers, writers. So it's taken the longest for me to allow them to see me differently, because they have an image. So they also imagine me. Okay, so Ashish will do that thing, and I'm a relentless worker. So one of the things is that I relentlessly keep asking for that. Hey, listen, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. And you and I know that, just as you said, that the director is the supreme person who casts us, and what they cast us for allows us to
Yeah.
allows us to create something. So at this point, I thought that I will share
Just
that.
to extend on this, Ashish, just to extend on this, and going back to the question you'd asked me earlier as well about, you do a scene and do you feel that regret that, "Arey, this could have been done?" There are moments that I go through this a lot. In fact, in every work that I do on a daily basis, literally, when I go to shoot and come back, I tell myself this, that the moment I finish, I'm inside the van and I'm clearing off my makeup. And it's strange because I take pretty long to change and to get out and then, sit in the car and then go. Because all that while I am continuously
Rewinding.
contemplating on what is it that, this could have gone into. And I start to do that performance inside the van. I actually get up, leave everything, and I'm performing it again and saying, hell, I wish this could have been shot again.
Yeah.
And this happened in Sacred Games, where I remember I was doing a sequence with Nawaz, and we shot that. I came back into my van, and Anurag Kashyap's van was right next to mine. And I remember I was wearing my ganji, my banyan, and I was changing. I still had my police inspector pants and my shoes on. And I said, Neya, there's something that has not come out of my character. This is not what I'm supposed to be with this villain that I'm trying to beat up or whatever. It's just not happening. And a whole book has been written on Sacred Games, by the way. And this character I was playing, a lot of things have been written about him. So one of the prime things written about him was cricket, that he loved cricket, he loved sports. I thought to myself, where is it that I can get this element of this man? That he's an inspector. He plays with his job. He's so good at it, so good, that he doesn't need to really focus and tell himself that I'm Inspector Parulkar. He knows it. He's DCP. He's done it so much that he now wants to play with his profession and come to that level. And I remember while I was doing that, in that banyan itself, I just walked out without even thinking twice. I knocked on Anurag's door and he said, come in. He was about to have his dinner. I walked in. I said, "Can we do this again tomorrow?" And he said, "What do you mean? We've just shot the whole thing with Nawaz." I said, "Can we do this tomorrow?" He said, "Why?" I said, "No, nothing of me came out. I did the same thing as I did yesterday. I'm doing nothing for that for Parulkar, and nothing is coming out of that. So what's the point of doing this shoot today? There's no point. It's a waste." And he said, "What do you want to do?" And we said, "Let's take in cricket over here. Let's build cricket because cricket has not been played at all." He said, "Are you insane? What does cricket got to do with what I'm doing with Sacred Games?" And that's how that entire concept came up. And the next day, the sweetness of this director, that's what I mean. There are various kinds of directors. He actually got 6 bats lined up. I got a call that evening saying that from his AD saying, "Sir, hum log dobara kar rahe hain," because that request went down and Anurag said that, "Okay, phir se karte isko." Everybody was booked again on that next day. Set was recreated and we went over there. We had 6 bats and the director said, "This is all yours now. Go play." And that's how the entire hitting the villain with the bat came out from there. Playing with the prisoner and playing cricket inside came out from that entire thing of discussing, being with him. So that's where that restlessness stays to say, no, I mean, what is it? It's not doing something new. It's taking yourself to that aspiration that you've gotten, that you will probably go into 20 years from now, 30 years from now, and to pushing yourself with your craft over there. I think that's the example that came to me right now, immediately.
Bah, Neeraj, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
The actor revisits, and it's an amazing possibility. So I look forward to another conversation with you soon to continue this.
Absolutely.
Okay, and at this point, I'm left with many discoveries, many more questions. I'm also left with very happy to have met you, because this is the first time ever in whatever number of years that you were born and I was born that you and I have had a conversation. And that's what I find amazing about life. The life opens up possibilities of strangers meeting, and once they have met, they have known a little more about not just each other, but also about ourselves.
Yes.
Yes. And
it's very true, Ashish. And thank you for creating that space for me today. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I don't think I've had a conversation like this before with anybody, despite doing so many interviews. This has been a very heartwarming conversation, a conversation where I truly felt that I've always thought of you as an intellect. You come out as that. Your persona is very strong, very powerful. I'm sure it's because of your living, your experiences, your craft, everything put together. But you exude that energy all the time of an intellect, of somebody who's so sure of what he's looking for in life and how he's traveling his path. That comes out. And I'm glad I have met you today this way, not just over a phone conversation, but this way where we could talk our hearts out and to create that space for me to be able to do this. And I really look forward to another set of conversations with you.
बहुत shukriya, Neeraj. Thank you so very much. And dear friends, all of us who've been watching, possibly something that each one of us are going to take away from this conversation. Some of you may be actors, some of you may be aspiring actors, some of you have nothing to do with acting. But this conversation has some amazing takeaways. So I would love to hear from you. What is it that you took away for yourself? And I promise you that I'll be back with Neeraj sometime soon, to have a conversation about what is it that makes him go deeper into his craft and be a professional. That's what interests me in life, to find out. So in the series, An Actor Interviews, I intend to meet people like Neeraj, whom I can be with and understand how they travel. And I'm very clear that as we listen to different sorts of people and listen to how they are thinking, it's not just knowing something about them. Because I promise you, today, I discovered so many more things about myself. And that is what I shared with Neeraj when we spoke about over 4 days back. I said, Neeraj, this could be a conversation where probably I'm very clear that I'll discover some interesting things about myself, and you may also discover some interesting things about yourself. And this has been that experience for me, Neeraj. Just listening to you, you triggered some very interesting thoughts for me, and it will be at some other point that we will chat what all got triggered. But final words from you, Neeraj, and then we close this evening's conversation.
Well, I've said it all mostly, but this is something very beautiful, Ashish, that you are doing at this point of time. I'd like to actually take this opportunity to speak about what you are doing and what you're just doing at this point of time in this moment is to not merely get people on board and just ask them about their life journeys. I think you're doing something where there is an audience that sits over there waiting to absorb whatever they can and from whichever walk of life they come from. And that's a very powerful way to reach out to humanity. And you're using this so beautifully. It's not just, I remember you telling me over the phone that we will talk about craft. And then you explained very clearly that it's not only about acting. It's about what you will take home from this, what I will take home from this, and what the audience at large will take, not just in terms of craft of acting, but about life itself, about how this conversation itself can influence somebody, can trigger something for somebody, and take somebody else's life into another direction altogether, or whichever direction they are in, to take it a notch up. And this is so beautiful that you do. Truly hats off to you, Ashish. Thank you very much for this.
Zindabad Bandhu. Lots of love to you all. Milte rahenge saathi. Alshukran Bandhu. Alshukran Neeraj. Alshukran Zindagi.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank
Love
you, really.
Take care. And